So, getting back to NASA, NASA's the vehicle to take us to space. I was 1 month old, sitting on my mother's lap. I was born June 26, 1969. July 20th, barely a month later, I'm watching blurry images on a black and white TV that my dad actually took pictures of. I have the scrapbook at home of the photos from the TV of man allegedly walking on the moon. And so, that's all I've ever known growing up. From a month old, it's NASA. And so, I see Star Wars, I'm impacted by that. I'm a science fiction fan. I love those shows. If I want to get to space, if I want to be Luke Skywalker or Captain Kirk or whoever, pick your favorite space guy, the way to get there is NASA. So you become obsessed with it. It becomes almost a god to you because you're like, all your focus and attention is that. I got to get to that. That was my focus. That's why I joined the military. And then it was a few years ago I started to question the narrative of 9/11. And as a former Boy Scout, Army guy, patriotic rah-rah, it was unthinkable that the official story wasn't true. I began to question that. And then a few years later, my friend Mike started questioning the moon landings before I did. And I heard what he had to say, and I was a little bit intrigued by it. But then eventually I decided to finally look into it for myself. And there are lots of problems with the moon landing. And for one thing, Orion is the new project that replaced the space shuttles. Orion is supposed to be, this is the new big, the pinnacle of our technology. And they're like, well, we can't go anywhere yet till we figure out how to get through the Van Allen radiation belts. And you're kind of like, wait a minute. Why don't you just do the same thing in the 60s and 70s? When you went through that thing, several times there and back in a tin can and jumpsuits. And by the way, if those jumpsuits are so great, why don't you go clean up Fukushima? Or any place else where we got radiation problems. Well, they can't do it because that stuff's not what we were told it is. And so when you have NASA themselves telling you, hey, we can't get through the radiation, we got a problem with radiation, that immediately nullifies everything that they claim to have done before. So when you ask them about it, they say, well, we lost all the telemetry, we lost all that information, everything, all the technology that we were able to supposedly use to get to the moon, we don't have it anymore. Really? And then when they start sending you pictures of Pluto that happen to look like Pluto, the Disney character, you're like, somebody's just laughing at us at this point. And they're beaming us back photos from how many millions of miles away? And yet I have trouble keeping a Wi-Fi signal in the hotel? How are you getting that Wi-Fi signal of pictures emailed to us from freaking